An Okolona woman apologizes for a comment she made on the CBS Morning News.
From News 11, the Hunter Rowland Report with Lee Hunter and Ken Rowland. The Kentuckiana weather forecast with Linda Steele. And Mike James with sports.
Good evening. School attendance climbed again today in Jefferson County. 3/4 of the total projected enrollment showed up for class today. 7,400 more kids were in school today than yesterday. That's a 6% increase and a 31% margin over the first day of school. As of now, about 100,000 students are enrolled in class. 93%, or 93,000 of them, went to school today. The lowest rate of attendance continues in the south and southwestern portion of the county. 57 buses didn't run today, and those transportation troubles, according to school officials, are bound to have affected the number of children who got to school today. Overall, the schools were quiet again, with no protesters reported around any of them. There were some incidents of varying nature, which we'll report later. But right now, rumors seem to be causing parents more anxiety than anything else. Ken?
Yesterday, we told you about two black youths who allegedly grabbed at a white girl at Ballard High School. We reported the girl was uninjured and that police were looking for the boys. The story was part of our continuing effort to report any significant incident. Today, rumors about the incident continued. People called our newsroom today, charging that we were covering up what they said was a rape. To set the record straight, we sent Phyllis Knight to Ballard High School.
Rumors die hard, and one of the most persistent rumors is that a girl was raped here at Ballard High School. This is not true. We talked to the principal, Pat Crawford. He told us what happened.
Yesterday, a black youth grabbed a girl in the hallway and asked her name and asked her telephone number, and she refused. And when she jerked away, he showed her a knife, but actually didn't try to cut her or anything else like that, but did scare her pretty badly.
But there was no rape.
Absolutely none whatsoever. The only thing he did was grab her by the hand. Absolutely no way, shape, or form of a rape.
Have there been other suspensions?
Yes, ma'am. There's been approximately 20 suspensions yesterday, and these have been for not going to class, class disruption, being disrespectful to the teachers, principals, and monitors, and what have you.
Are all of the suspensions black children?
Yes, ma'am. All the students have been black children, 19 boys and 1 girl, all of them from inner city schools.
Is this a large number of suspensions for the first few days of school?
Very large number. Normally we probably suspend 2 or 3 students at this time of the year.
Do you feel other schools are having the same problems you are?
I would say they are. It's just a matter of time until they crack down.
Crawford said there are 400 blacks attending Ballard High School, and he said he wanted to emphasize that the majority of them are fitting right into the scheme of things and very willing to cooperate. He also said there will be no double standards at Ballard High School. Phyllis Knight, News 11.
There are also rumors about an alleged rape at Jeffersontown High School. Our check with authorities has turned up absolutely no evidence that this occurred. Lee?
The school system plans to contact school principals probably tomorrow for a meeting to discuss discipline. Dawson Orman, the security chief of the school system, told News 11's Byron Crawford today some new guidelines are being introduced.
We want fair and equitable treatment for all of the students, whether black or white. And consequently, we feel that it's necessary to put this information out to the principals, to make an opportunity very soon to discuss it with them, give them a chance to ask questions about it. Right now, we find that we have some principals who are reacting to situations in their schools, and all of them have at least different groups of students. A portion of their student body are different, and we find that many of them are reacting to situations in 2 different extremes, either not doing enough, or some are doing too much.
How serious is the situation, and where are the problems?
Right now, we've been very well pleased with the small number of suspensions and reports of disciplinary problems. We have checked out, we've had people going to the schools and actually talking to the school people to find out about these reports that we're getting, such as rape reports, in which we've found to be absolutely false. throughout the system. There have been reports of guns, which I think the news media already knows about and has reported.
Orman did say that so far this year, the rate of suspensions is down about 15% from what it was last year at this time in the two school systems before they were merged.
There were several incidents reported today. 3 people, 2 white men and a 16-year-old white teenager, were arrested today outside Manual High School for allegedly threatening students entering the school. A car was found at Central High this morning with bullet holes in the windows. The tires on the car were flat. Southern High School had another bomb threat today. The school was evacuated again. There was no bomb. Ken?
Those bans placed on parades and demonstrations and the use of citizen band radios in Louisville, placed after the weekend violence, have now been lifted. Mayor Harvey Sloan late this afternoon issued a statement saying that public parades and gatherings will be allowed if they're authorized by a parade permit from the Department of Public Safety. Normally, applications must be in 5 working days before a planned event. However, the mayor said that they're bending the rules slightly to allow permits for this weekend if the application is received by noon Thursday. The deadlines are Friday for any parades planned for next Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. After that, the usual waiting period goes back into effect. A lawsuit had been filed seeking to overturn the original no demonstration order, but there was no word on whether today's action was in response to that. Both processing centers used for handling anti-busing protest arrests in the Louisville area have been closed. Any future arrests will be handled through regular booking procedures. So far, 670 charges have been filed against 450 people. Most of them are out on bail. Their trials will start on September 17th. 20 persons will be tried in one night, 3 nights a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, through January 28th.
We'll continue with tonight's desegregation story in just a moment.
Introducing Freedent Gum in the bright blue pack. Freedent's the delicious new gum that won't stick to most dental work.
Ordinary gum sticks to my dental work, but Freedent doesn't. It's great to enjoy chewing again.
Freedent's the delicious new gum that won't stick to most dental work.
I had to give up chewing gum because I had a sticking problem. Now with Freedent, I'm free to chew again.
And I chew Freedent because I like the fresh mint flavor.
Freedent in the bright blue pack from Wrigley's. It's a delicious new gum that won't stick to most dental work.
How do you tailor trust in a man? How do you fit reliability into his character? What is the size of confidence? How do you determine the fabric of his character? This is the specially tailored jacket of a Taylor drugstore pharmacist. Put your trust in it. Those who wear it are a cut above the rest.
Our new electric percolator looks strange.
Well, our coffee tastes strange.
Try Maxwell House Electric Perk. It's the only kind I sell.
Aren't all electric percolator coffees the same?
Only one says Maxwell House. Good. Electric Perk's ground roasted blended just for electric percolators.
Cora, her coffee's been great.
Anybody owns an electric pot, Electric Perk ought to be in it.
Electric Perk, only from Maxwell House.
Five o'clock, Dixie Highway. Getting to the bank got to be quite a problem. When you've got nearly 50 banking centers, different needs require different solutions. Our solution at Dixie Manor, put a bank on both sides of the street to serve people coming or going. The new facility didn't lighten the traffic, but it did make it easier to live with.
Threats are becoming common in Jefferson County, not only by phone, but by mail, too. Byron Crawford has that story.
Our information indicates that almost every service station operator in Jefferson County received a letter like this one in the mail today. On the envelope, the return address is that of Parents for Freedom. This can happen to you, it says, and in black parentheses, there's a copy of a paragraph from Saturday's newspaper story about a Valley Station service station attendant being severely injured during a clash between police and demonstrators at his business. It ends in bold-faced type, "Close your station. Boycott the city of Louisville. Stop tyranny. No gas for Louisville until Judge Gordon rescinds his act of tyranny." Then it says, "We will tell you in a later communication when we expect you to stop selling." It's signed Spirit of 76, a coalition of anti-busing groups. We tried to reach the Reverend Lowell Hughes repeatedly by phone today. Hughes is the leader of Parents for Freedom. His line was busy all afternoon. The FBI says it's aware that the letters were mailed and received. This is Byron Crawford, News 11.
One Pleasure Ridge Park service station operator who's been servicing school buses for several years is going out of business because of threats. Alex Gerard is quoted in a newspaper story as saying he feared for his family's safety.
In the past few days, we've reported on the pressures being put on many businesses by anti-busing groups. The news media hasn't escaped that either, as Jim West now reports.
Since the start of school, over 1,500 subscriptions to the two papers have been canceled. According to Don Tolles, Director of Circulation for the Courier-Journal and Times, that's about 3 times the normal weekly average of subscription changes due to vacations and people moving. Tolles said what impact there is will be felt primarily by the paperboy and not the company, since the loss in subscriptions has so far been more than made up by the increase in street sales.
Just how long it'll go on, we have no way of knowing. We do know that some people have started their subscription back since the time they started it in the past week. But most of these are coming directly to the carrier boy. I think if people call us and stop the paper in protest, they would be a little reluctant to call us back to start it. They would probably do it through the carrier, which is logical.
Most of the cancellations have come from the south and southwestern parts of Jefferson County, which hurts the Times more because it has greater circulation in that area than the Courier-Journal. Practically no cancellations have come from West Louisville or southern Indiana. Canceled subscriptions aren't the only busing reaction facing the papers. Appearing around the community today has been this newspaper-sized sheet from the group called Christians United. The anti-busing group had earlier paid for a different full-page ad in the Courier-Journal. However, this circular says at the top, the Louisville Times refused to print this advertisement. George Gill, general manager of the papers, said the ad was rejected since some of the language suggested violation of the state's truancy law. Gill said the papers have rejected other advertising when it suggested illegal activity. Gill said the newspaper's lawyers have changed some of the words in the ad, and if those changes are acceptable to the organization's representatives, then the paper would print it. Jim West, News 11.
Although some members of concerned parents have claimed that WHAS has refused to sell them broadcast time, radio and TV sales managers for both stations say no one has asked to buy time, but they can buy it if they meet the conditions set for any political advertising.
Last week we showed you what it was like for black children riding buses that were the targets of rocks and bottles on their way home from Fairdale to the city's west end. We had News 11's Bob Johnson take another trip since the new security precautions went into effect, and tonight Bob tells a different story.
If there was tension, it didn't show. One of the youngsters had a portable radio tuned to the soul music station. Some of the students sang softly to themselves, others talked with the city police officer assigned to the bus. I recall that some of them didn't want to come back after rocks and bottles were thrown at the buses last Friday.
I felt the same way. I didn't come to school Monday either. I thought seeing what happened over the weekend because of the same thing. So I came on back yesterday and everything was all right.
Well, you know, they're not any protesters and everybody's coming back to school. You know, the classroom are filled up again and, well, you know, everybody's, you know, getting together.
There is an element of anxiety about what will happen when the police and National Guard are withdrawn. The bus drivers are especially sensitive. Most say they have been threatened. They talk, but they don't want their names or faces on camera.
Your family, your sisters, your brothers, your mothers, your mother-in-laws, your father-in-laws, everyone's against you. They say, if you quit, then it'll be over. But it's not true. They've got people to take our places.
It's been awful, she said, just awful. Bob Johnson, News 11.
Armed guards will be on all school buses in Jefferson County tomorrow, but there will be no monitors on the buses in the morning, just the afternoon. The monitors are asked to report to the Brown Education Center downtown at 8 a.m. to receive new bus assignments, indicating bus routes are being reworked.
Jefferson County Judge Todd Hollenbach has joined Governor Julian Carroll in trying to recover expenses stemming from the federal desegregation order. Yesterday, Carroll said he would bill the federal government for the cost of calling out the National Guard. But today, News 11 learned that the government would only pay for National Guard expenses if they were called out by a federal agency. But today, in an unprecedented move, Judge Hollenbach announced he will soon file suit against the feds for the full recovery of all Jefferson County money spent to implement the federal busing order. Ken?
Is the school boycott coming apart as attendance figures grow each day? Concerned Parents President Sue Connor says it isn't, and she told Phyllis Knight today that her organization is stronger than ever.
Do you feel the boycott is failing?
No. You see, Phyllis, I predicted that Thursday and Friday there would be a small percentage. And if you'll notice, I've also predicted that attendance will be up this week. But when attendance is up, the violence will then start in the schools.
Ms. Connor, what are you telling parents, concerned parents, about getting an education for their child? How long do you want them to keep their child out of school?
However long it takes. As I explained to you.
But what about educating the child?
You aren't getting an education when you're on a school bus at 9:30 in the morning going down Watterson Expressway with a man packing shotgun.
A lot of argument about network coverage of school desegregation. For one local woman, it became a personal issue. Lila Korn reports.
CBS correspondent Chris Kelly came here to Okolona yesterday to do a story on this community's attitude towards busing. Among those he spoke with was Shirley Sheets. This part of that interview with her appeared on today's edition of the CBS Morning News.
I do not like busing at all. I do not think that if they want to upgrade the nigger schools, colored schools downtown, they should have took the money they're going to spend on these buses and made new subjects in the school and fixed the schools downtown.
After the story was broadcast, Mrs. Sheets called our newsroom asking if we could allow her to make a public apology for part of her comment. She began by reading a statement.
I had never appeared on television before, and I was nervous during my interview and referred to the black people with a name I do not normally use. Therefore, I would like to retract any statement that was disrespectful to the black people, as I did not intend it. And I usually don't use anything against the black people. I have nothing against them at all. It's my decision alone to make this statement, and I hope the black people will accept my apology as a white person.
Despite her apology, Mrs. Sheets says she's still opposed to busing, but feels there's no alternative now. Lila Korn, News 11.
Linda Steele is standing by to present tonight's weather forecast in about 2 minutes from now.
Shop at Sears and save. Shop Sears and save on a Kenmore laundry pair, electric dryer, automatic washer. Buy both for just $318. Buy Sears 19-inch diagonal measure portable color television for only $299. And choose from an upright or chest freezer, now just $238 at Sears.
With 36 kitchen sponges, I can soak up anything.
One roll of Gala paper towels has the same soaking power.
That's impossible.
Oh, it's true. Dunk them both in equal amounts of water. Your sponges, my Gala. Wait. Look, Gala soaked up just as much as the 36 sponges.
And Gala is strong, even soaking wet.
Gala gives you the soaking power of 36 sponges.
Bill? Yo. I want to do something with my gray hair.
Well, here's something developed for professional barbers. New Alberto Groom Out Gray. You just apply Groom Out Gray like a hairdressing. Once a day for a few weeks. Gradually, you groom out your gray. Some of it, or all of it. Then use as necessary.
Bill, what do you think?
You look great. Years younger.
Really did the trick.
New Alberto Groom Out Gray. Now available in neighborhood stores.
Isn't it time you got back to the old-fashioned goodness of bread? Especially now that there's a new bread with some old-fashioned ideas. It's called Earth Grains, and it's hearth and pan-baked in nearly 30 deliciously different loaves and rolls for your table. Try Earth Grains. It's time you got back to the old-fashioned goodness of bread.
If you're having a difficult time deciding what to wear in the morning, you're not alone.
We had a low of 61 last night, so you'd leave the house to work or to school with a sweater on. However, by noontime or afternoon, you're sweltering. Our high warmed to 90 degrees. The cool front that passed through Kentucky yesterday was expected to leave us with slightly cooler temperatures. However, it left us mainly with increased cloudiness and, of course, scattered showers and thunder showers nearly over all of the state as of now. That frontal system is going to be pushed back northward tomorrow through Louisville early in the morning as a warm front. As it does, it will leave our area and make room for this frontal system to the northwest of Kentucky to move into Indiana and Kentucky, giving us heavy rainfall amounts tomorrow. So maybe you'll get some water on that grass yet. We are expecting quite a bit of rain tomorrow and tomorrow night, clearing up a bit on Friday and making it a very pleasant and mild weekend for those football games. U of L and U of K both play home games this weekend. It will be pleasant. Nationally tonight, we had scattered showers and thunder showers along the Gulf Coast from Texas through Florida. We also had quite a bit of shower activity along this frontal system, the Great Lakes area, and it was cool in the northeast. Pennsylvania had readings in the 30s. In our satellite photographs today, you can see that frontal system along with the cloudiness that's just barely to the south of Kentucky, causing our showers right now. You can't see that frontal system to the west that will give us showers tomorrow. Regionally, we do have scattered showers and thunder showers over most of this state. I've heard within the last hour, Middletown and Westport Road are receiving quite a bit of rain as of now. Most of the current readings are in the 80s. Our current reading, with some thunder showers in some areas, is 76 degrees. The relative humidity is 74%. I'm running out of time, so you can read the rest of those statistics. Our forecast, mostly cloudy and mild with a 60% chance of thunder shower tonight through tomorrow night, the low near 68 and the high tomorrow near 64. And then on Friday, decreasing cloudiness with a high near 76. And that's all for weather. Ken?
Thank you, Linda. A new round of layoffs will idle some 1,300 air conditioning workers at Appliance Park for 2 weeks. The company reports that sales slumps will force more downtime during the remaining months of the year. This latest layoff from September the 22nd through October the 3rd will take care of furloughs for 2 months, the company says. House burn has become a problem in Kentucky tobacco fields this year. An estimated 33% of the state's burley crop has been harvested, and about 10% of it is turning dark in the barn because of the hot, humid weather. Burley needs warm, dry air after it is harvested.
And I think Mike thinks some AP writers need some warm, dry air, too.
Yeah, they had the AP college football ratings today. For the first time this year, Kentucky didn't make the top 10.
Is that right?
Of course, this is the first rating.
Well, I guess that's somewhat logical for Mike James. Sports coming up right after this.
When economic conditions are uncertain, it's good to talk things over with mature, seasoned bankers. That's easy to do at Stockyards Bank and Trust Company, where all the senior officers work right in the bank lobby. Their knowledge and experience are yours to call on whenever it can be helpful. This is a great place to bank. Come in and see for yourself. You'll find every modern banking facility for both individuals and business. You'll also find it's truly the bank of personal service. Stockyards Bank and Trust Company, where your business is appreciated.
When you look like you care for yourself and your hair, you can live up each day with fun and with flair. You can count on Miss Clairol Natural Wear to know you're the best you can be.
Natural Wear Miss Clairol, our conditioning hair color, builds body, leaves hair handle, and the color really glows naturally. Miss Clairol, the best it can be at any price. Try it.
To know you're the best you can be.
After their upset loss to unranked Missouri last Monday night, the Alabama Crimson Tide tumbled from 2nd to 13th in this week's Associated Press college football ratings. Defending national champ Oklahoma remains number 1. They picked up 51 of the 56 first-place votes, and they're followed by Michigan, Ohio State, Southern Cal, and Missouri. By the way, none of the top 4 teams have played yet. Rounding out the top 10, Nebraska, Auburn, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and Penn State. High school in the Jefferson County Class 4A ratings, Trinity is tops, followed by Bishop David, Fairdale, Durrett, and DeSales. Defending state champ St. X is yet to play. They were passed over in the ratings. Elizabethtown is ranked 2nd in Class AA, and Frankfort and Harrodsburg hold down the top 2 spots in Single A this week. The WHAS computer has picked Kentucky as a 16-point favorite to beat Virginia Tech in their season opener this Saturday. Kaywood Ledford was at UK earlier in the week.
Number 86 is Vin Hoover. He'll be the starting tight end for Kentucky Saturday against Virginia Tech. Vin has never been in for even one play for Kentucky, even though he's a senior. The 6'2", 220-pounder transferred to Kentucky after Tampa dropped football last spring. Kentucky's Fran Kersey is glad.
Well, Vin Hoover's came in here from Tampa and has done such an outstanding job. He's been such a real leader for our team. For a boy just to come in here and not know anybody, to have the acceptance that he's had, is really a great tribute to him because he just works so hard. He's just a guy that just never quits and just goes 100% all the time.
Van Hoover is a Corbin, Kentucky native and always wanted to play for the Wildcats. When no scholarship offer came, he enrolled at Tampa. He was the captain down there. But now that he's back home for his final season, Van says it's great wearing the blue and white.
There's no way to describe it. You know, this has been a lifetime dream for me, and I've always wanted to play for the University of Kentucky, and I just can't believe that now that I'm going to get the chance to play.
Do you expect to come right in and start?
Well, you know, this is my senior year, and I wanted to play more than anything, and I knew that there was going to be stiff competition. I didn't know whether I could or not. I didn't know whether I could hold up for the pressure or whatever, but it's a big challenge for me, and I'm just lucky to be here, really am.
What about that tight end? That's not new to you. System much different?
No, not at all. We ran the veer, and our numbering system was almost the same at Tampa as it is here at the University of Kentucky, so that was an easy part for me there.
For Van Hoover, it was Corbin, all the way to Tampa, Florida, now back to Lexington and the University of Kentucky to play his senior year. Kaywood Ledford in Lexington for Sports 11.
By the way, the WHAS computer has made Western Kentucky a 7-point pick to beat the University of Louisville in their season opener this Saturday night at Fairgrounds Stadium. The computer will make all of its predictions this Friday on the 6 o'clock news. Stonewalk has been withdrawn from this Saturday's rich $250,000 Marlboro Cup at Belmont Park. That leaves just a field of 7 for that mile-and-a-quarter race, with the early favorites now Forego and Foolish Pleasure. The great jockey Eddie Arcaro had some thoughts recently on the sport of horse racing.
Citation was the best 3-year-old I ever rode, and I thought that Kelso was the best handicap horse I ever rode. Kelso was horse of the year 5 straight years, so he had to be good, and of course Citation won the Triple Crown and won everything as a 3-year-old. He just beat everybody.
Match races and the tragedy of Ruffian, you're thinking on the race itself and on the horse?
Well, I liked Ruffian before the race, by the way. I picked her to win, and it was an unfortunate accident that she broke her leg, but I think that racing, or any sport, loves to get publicity, and this was a great for racing to get the viewers to watch it, and I'm sure that 50 million people saw this match race, and of course it didn't. The sad part about it was the filly breaking her leg, but we at least had 50 million people knowing that there is such a thing as horse racing.
Tomorrow night, a full report on the upcoming Marlboro Cup. That's sports. Ken?
This week's WHAS editorial format deals with the question, did police use undue force against crowds during last week's anti-busing violence in parts of Jefferson County? Last night, we expressed the arguments of those who say police did use excessive force. Tonight, on Counterpoint, the police view. Here's Stacy Smith.
WHAS and WNNS attempted to obtain official response to the accusations of excessive police force against anti-busing demonstrators. However, Rick Northern, administrative assistant to County Judge Todd Hollenbach, told us that the county government is studying the matter and will have no comment for now, neither from Hollenbach nor from Police Chief Russ McDaniel. The only on-record response we could find from Hollenbach came at a press conference on Saturday after Friday night's violence. Hollenbach told WHAS Radio's Robin Hughes that, to his knowledge, none of the force used by police was unwarranted. He said he had no reports of police overreacting. The only on-record police comment on this issue came in a WAVE interview broadcast Monday night. Chief Russell McDaniel said, quote, "What the public doesn't realize, quite frequently, they will hear one side of the story, and maybe they'll only see one side of the case. They think of teenagers, and they think of a large number of people that's referred to as spectators as being orderly. If they could only see what generates from a large crowd like this, and the debris, and what the policemen have to take. And every time a person is arrested in a mob such as we had down there, the crowd immediately tries to take the subject away from the officers. And the officers, they are going to get out of there with the subject one way or another, and so that's where the force comes in," unquote. State Police spokesman Lieutenant Ernest Bivens said the state police also have no comment on this issue at this time. I'm Stacy Smith.
Tomorrow night, the WHAS editorial on this issue. As always, you can tell us your opinion by calling our comment line and having your remarks recorded. Call either 582-7330 or 582-7331. 7 more cases of St. Louis encephalitis have been confirmed in Indiana, bringing the number of confirmed cases in the state to 16. One of them is in Clark County. Lee?
Scientists at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology say they've measured what they call a dense neutron star that's only 10 miles across but weighs almost twice as much as our own sun. According to the stargazers, that would be like having a bean that weighed almost 1 billion tons. That's the news. We'll be back at 11 or whenever important news happens. For Ken, Linda, and Mike, this is Lee Hunter. Have a good evening. Now, World and National News next from CBS.
This is the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite.
Good evening. President Ford won one veto fight in the Senate today and lost another. Overridden was the veto of the $7.9 billion education bill, and it thus becomes law automatically. But the Senate sustained Mr. Ford's veto of an extension of oil price controls.